connecting. Right, let me just make sure I'm connected.
All right. Yep, you're live.
I'm live? Good. Okay. Okay. Oh, I haven't got my chat out. Okay.
All right, I think it got figured out there, so we're good. Let me see here. I'm looking. Maybe I should reload it here.
My chat isn't coming out. Why isn't my chat coming out? Oh, perhaps Hi, guys. Julie's having a nightmare. Sorry, mate. Champagne. Yay. Okay. Alrighty. We're going to have to just go back to that. Right. Okay. I can't see my chat now. Okay. Right. Let me just... I think it's because I started streaming before I popped it out. I'm just going to stop it for 1 second and I'll start it again. Bear with me, guys. Oh. I am so sorry, guys. Completely my fault. All my fault. Ransom was ready, waiting and willing, and I was not. I thought I was.
Usually
but
me
I wasn't.
So don't feel bad.
Hello, Sandra. Hello, Expanding the Process. Hello, hello. Raven Wolf. Hello, darling. Wait, does it say offline? It does. Let me explain. When you go live, for you guys who don't know, you've got your normal streaming and you've got an event setting. And I set this up as an event with a different stream key and with all the thumbnail and all the information about me and Ransom. Going to be having a lovely chat. So you had all the information. And when I went to go live tonight, it was streaming, but for some reason it wasn't starting. So clearly there's a button I've got to press somewhere that I couldn't figure out where it was. So my bad. So I've had to go streaming from the main live stream settings. So there'll be loads of people over there waiting for us. Hi, Moon Journey. So yeah, they're all going to be in the other one waiting. It's just a nightmare. So probably what I should do is cancel that one because they might just be sitting there and missing this. But oh, never mind. They'll find it eventually and watch the replay. So, how are you? Lovely to see you. Lovely to meet you. So tell me what your channel's all about. What's your channel all about?
I make music. I goof around. I have guests on. I started out making dreams into music videos. That's kind of the topic I wanted to talk to you about. Like straight up, how would someone, even if they were gifted, know that they were gifted and it not their own imagination or something else like that? Like, how could you because there's so many random events you can picture things that will happen.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean you got a vision, but on the other hand, to discount it seems to be an error also.
Yeah, well, the truth is, you see, that everybody's psychic. We're born psychic. When we're born, the soul comes into the human body, actually, when we're in the womb. And we're born with that connection to above. We know who we are. We know that we're soul, we're spirit, we're universal God force personified. We know. You can hear him good. Can you hear me all right? Ransom's volume is low. It is a little bit. Are you able to turn it up a little bit?
I think they have an adjustment for my mic. No. Is it super low where they can't hear me?
Yeah, they're saying Ransom's volume is very low, can hardly hear him. I've had to turn my volume up so I can hear you. But that's I'm all right with that. But if they can't hear you, that's no good.
Well, I have two different mics hooked up, so I know one's loud and maybe this one. Maybe I'll speak louder.
Move the mic closer to you then, because it's that's.
Well, it's in the camera too.
Oh right, okay, all right, babe, all right. So yeah, I was saying that we are born psychic, and if you look at any child, and the younger they are, the more they're aware of it. So you'll have 2-year-olds often saying about their friend in their bedroom, imaginary friends, This is them being able to see spirit, and it'll predominantly be family members that have passed on, have come to see the baby, have come to see their grandchildren or their great grandchildren, and then they're all really psychic until they start school. It's round about nursery school age, 3 or 4. That's when they start losing the ability to connect and see. And I believe, this is only my opinions, mine, I believe that the reason for that, having had 3 kids, and all 3 of mine were very psychic until they started school, and then basically they start hearing all of the nursery rhymes and the nursery stories and the bedtime stories that usually involve a witch who's bad, and ghosts that are scary. Basically, until that point, they've got no fear. There is no fear. So they're able to see. And it's the fear that starts to come in. We teach children fear. They are born fearless. We teach them fear. And as the fear comes in, the spiritual connection goes out because the fear blocks. It's the light that allows us to see. When we let go of our fear, and we're not scared of it anymore, we can see everything. And the more we are completely feeling all right with that, hi Maris, hi Niz, then the better it is. So everybody's psychic. But what happens, we get to about 4 or 5, and by then it's usually closed down for most of us, unless we're in a family that are quite open to it. So by the time my middle son, my youngest son, he's 30 now, but by the time he was about 8, I was very, very aware and talking about it a lot, and I was going to spiritual stuff and workshops and meditating, and so he didn't get any fear, so he was able to see. My daughter is she can't see, but she's very intuitive. So, I've taken the fear away from my kids. But yeah, what's happening is we've shifted into this higher vibration. So more and more people are now waking up and being able to see. And it's not that something new has come in. It's that the fear is starting to go out because we're all starting to turn into this better version of ourselves, this more aligned, this happier version. So how do you know?
What's the description of what I've been doing?
Yeah, so when you ask the question, how do you know that you're spiritual? If you're psychic, if you're intuitive, how do you know if it's something that's real or whether you're going slightly potty? And I have some of my clients are saying to me, I'm having such strong connections with like beings of golden light and this, that, and the other. I think they should be taking me to the funny farm and locking me up. And I'm like, no, you're just seeing stuff, and it's all good.
I kind of took it as, I don't know, I think right around the beginning, right before 2017, I started having real vivid dreams. I had my whole life. And there's been several circumstances I freaked myself out with seeing things I couldn't have possibly saw.
Yeah.
Until I was there, and it was more than a deja vu because I had already talked about and had conversations about the dream before it happened.
Yeah.
But right about 2017, I felt like I had like I don't know, I wouldn't say like an invader per se, like it's not a hostile thing, but more like another presence in my dreams, and kind of like looking through a frosty glass, but I'm seeing pictures and hearing sounds, so I started turning them into music videos to get them out of my head because they bother me. Like it'll just keep playing and playing and playing until I get it out, and then it's out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way of dealing with it because you're putting something creative into it. And creativity, when we're in our creative flow, is when we're most connected with our soul. Because the soul is part of Source, which is all about creation and co-creation. Let's have a look at some of the comments.
Probably saying they can't hear me.
Expanding the process is saying slightly potty is a good sign. It is a good sign. It is a good sign.
For us Americans, what's it slightly potty expression meaning?
Slightly potty. Well, over here we can kind of say crazy, nuts, potty, bonkers. These are all different terminology for being slightly different. We're not talking serious mental health here. We're talking just being a little bit weird, different, original.
Champagne
not
is quite a nutter, just a little off.
Yeah, just a little off. I mean, when I was into this, when I was in my teens, I mean, this was the 70s and it was very frowned upon. You started talking about that you can see people that other people can't see and you can see colours around trees. That's when they start carting you off to lock you up and saying, okay, you know, you're showing signs of dissociative personality disorder, which is the new word for, you know, having a split personality kind of thing. And it's, you know, the medical profession would still say that it's a psychological, what do they call it? When I was studying psychology for my degree, you know, some of the things I was listening to, I was just sitting there smiling, thinking, yeah, that's me.
That almost makes you wonder if you read a psychological book and then go down through the list of their disorders, and actually instead of reading it as a disorder, you could see it as a list of gifts.
Yeah.
Different gifts that people have. So like you could almost find out, you know, which people can do what by the psychological disorder they've
Yeah. Eccentric, expanding the process, saying eccentric may be a better way to say it. I miss eccentricity. It used to be a great British trait. You're absolutely right. We're all a little bit eccentric as British, I think. And that's allowed. That's all right. Hey, Deborah.
I think here they just call you a weirdo.
Yeah. I was so used to being called weird all through the 70s, 80s, 90s and into the noughties. And it was as we passed the millennium, because that's when we had a big shift, 1999. And as we went into 2001, 2, 3, I loved it because I'd been open for about 25 years by then, sort of on my own, feeling very isolated and potty and eccentric. And then all of a sudden, I live in southeast Cornwall. And all of a sudden, an angel shop opened in Lou, and then a crystal shop opened in Liskeard, and these popping up, and I'm like, I'm not alone anymore. It's wonderful.
That kind of makes you wonder with so many religious people anyway. You know, their whole religion lies on the idea that there's imaginary, well, not imaginary, that's not what I mean.
Oh, it's the devil. It's the devil.
That can't be seen.
Yeah.
Forces that can't be seen that interact with us. But then if you tell them something a little bit different, then you're crazy. But
yeah,
you go every Sunday to you know, participate in the same kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, even now, you know, there's, I assume you have them over there. We have mind, body, spirit fairs, which are kind of, you know, where a town hall would be taken over with people doing readings and healing and selling crystals and things. Yeah. And over here, if the town hall or the building is owned by any kind of church, we're not allowed to use it. They say it's evil, it's the devil's work, it's witchcraft. There's all this kind of stuff, which generally comes from the church. And it's, again, their fear-based stuff, you know. And I know when I was about 16 and I was saying to a friend of mine who was a born-again Christian about, you know, I was chatting with my guides the other day and my grandfather who's dead and da-da-da. And he's like, really seriously, he said, you do know that's not your grandfather, that's the devil pretending to be your grandfather. And I was like, let's change the subject because we're not going to agree on this one. So Sandra's saying, I was diagnosed with ADHD. Now I know that I was tuned into higher energies. I just wasn't aligned with them yet. I agree, you know, that's lovely. That's a really good way of looking at it.
They told me the same thing when I was a child and tried to give me pharmaceutical drugs to do something with it. And I refused to take the drugs, and now as an adult, I find out that the guy that came up with the disorder, ADHD, actually made it up and took a bunch of different stuff from different areas because he was tasked with finding a disorder for the drug that they already had made.
Right.
So he came up with attention deficit disorder.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote a blog on my hypnotherapy website about depression particularly, but I said, are you depressed or are you just sad? Medicalization. There's actually a term, medicalization, where the medical profession make things that are normal in life a medicalized problem. So, you know, your husband's just died, you're grieving, and the doctor says, I'll give you antidepressants because you're depressed. You're not depressed, you're grieving. This is a normal thing. Yeah. And yet they're medicalizing it. And it's kind of, you know, so these days now, because that medicalization is so strong and so strongly ingrained, anybody that goes through any life changes that is struggling emotionally goes to the doctor and is diagnosed with depression. And they're not. There's a huge difference with clinical depression. And it's annoying. It annoys me. Champagne C said he was diagnosed with ADHD, but I feel he's gifted, and it's just a thing society isn't knowledgeable about gifts. I agree. Gifts come in many forms, don't they? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely. That's funny because actually a long time ago, somebody that was considered hyperactive would be called outgoing, and like, somebody would call someone a loner. Now they say they're, antisocial and depressed, and so yeah, they totally took all of human behaviors and then classified them as some kind of psychosis.
Yes, yeah. Kay is saying, just so nice to come back to this. She's obviously just come home from work. Expanding the process, saying, I'm learning Cosmic Deck of Initiation. It's a good deck, not strictly tarot, I think, but it's good for positivity and encouragement. Good plan. Good plan. Yes, they want to label everything. Labels limit us. They keep us stuck. I've got this saying that says, labels are for boxes, not for people. And that's it. That's what it comes down to. Stick the label on the box, not on a person.
So, because I've always thought that the same concept that everybody's kind of has. You can call it psychic or senses or common sense or analytical. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could use that. But like the other day when I was watching you guys meditate, you could tell that there's a lot of people in different places paying attention from, like you were talking about, all over the world.
Yeah.
And so it makes you wonder how much you can actually connect to that, even if you're not very strong with a gift yourself, like doing meditation and doing things to improve it. It's like when I was a kid, a psychologist ironically taught me how to have lucid dreams where I can be conscious and awake in my subconscious.
Yep, that's called hypnosis or meditation. It's the same.
Well, it was a pretty easy trick. He
Yeah.
just told me to take an object and concentrate on that object for several days. And mine was a blinking light, like the light bulb going on and off. So
Yeah.
I would concentrate on the light getting flicked on and off. Then eventually I started having that in my dream. And then then I would realize in the dream that, hey, this is a dream. There's my sign. There's my thing. And then that allowed me to explore that world on purpose instead of just being there as like a witness instead.
Absolutely. I mean, lucid dreaming, daydreaming. Daydreaming is a light form. So if you imagine there's a line and he is awake and he is asleep, okay, and we go about a quarter down it for daydreaming, and we go about half down it for meditation, and about 3/4 down it for hypnosis, and then we keep going and we fall asleep. Expanding the process, saying that the meditation we did the other day, that was the longest I've ever been quiet on a YouTube channel. Yeah, nearly. Yeah, for me, I've only got a little channel, and about 350 people have seen that, which for me is a lot. I was quite chuffed. Talking of which, we've both got. Well, actually, I think we've both got similar size channels. I will put the links in. I think I already have. Well, I did in the live feed that we didn't end up going through. Put the links into your website, your channel, if people want to subscribe to you. And if your guys want to subscribe to me, the link is in there.
Yes, I'll do the same thing when I post my video.
And I've got an announcement to make as well. So when I first came on YouTube, I watched all the how to do it properly videos and learned a lot. And you are not supposed to have two different subjects on your channel. You found your niche and that's what you do. And I came on as a hypnotherapist, but I happen to be spiritual. I happen to be psychic. And probably 10-20% of people are interested in the hypnotherapy side, as in motivational self-development, self-improvement, and the other 80-90% are interested in the psychic stuff. And it's got to the point now where I feel I need to split it. So I've today opened a second channel for the hypnotherapy or everything to do with how to attract love in your life, how to lose weight, self-hypnosis stuff, all my childhood sexual abuse videos, which are to help people to get through that. They're now on that channel, and I'm going to be taking them off this channel that I'm on now. And the thing is, it's interesting because all of my subscribers on my channel, they're interested in both, most of them. You know, the spiritual people don't mind seeing the motivational stuff, but a lot of people who would be interested in a video on sexual abuse or losing weight are not interested in the psychic stuff. So they come on to see a video on losing weight and see me doing readings and go, oh, she's bonkers. I don't want to come on here. And I think, well, fair enough, each to their own. So I'm going to take it all over there. So please subscribe to my other channel, because I have nobody, zero subscribers, because it's brand new.
Go over there and subscribe to the video.
That would be great.
I'm kind of like that too. I threw everything together. There's music, there's news, there's guests. So yeah, I couldn't figure out what I want to do. So I decided that what I want to do is exactly that. Just whatever I want to do when I get up that day.
Yeah. Brilliant. That's what you call going with the flow. Going with the flow. Champagne C is asking, would hypnotherapy help with remembering childhood? I can't remember my childhood too much. Yes, it would. What happens is we can have big blanks in our memory of childhood. It doesn't have to be to do with abuse, but it.
Remember my childhood, great, like very detailed. But I do have episodes of missing time. I'd like to know what was going on.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that hypnotherapy can do. Because what you're doing is you're going into... Yeah, you go into the subconscious. You can go into, through your subconscious, any moment in time. And we can say, right, which bits were missing? Oh, I can't remember much between sort of 6 and 10. Right, okay, let's go to the 6-year-old and let's start bringing those memories forward. Yeah, it's very helpful. Yeah, generally not always, but generally we hide memories, block memories when it's something that we're not ready to deal with, you know, and it can be for a child upsetting. You know, somebody's died, parents split up, changing schools, moving home when they're very attached to their home. But basically, you know, what we've got to understand, we might look at it from the adult's perspective and go, well, that's not a big deal. What's the problem there? But from the child's perspective, it was upsetting. So let me give you an example. I remember clearly when I was 5, because I know it was my first year in school, I had for my birthday a pink pencil with fluffy feathers on the end. It was my favourite pencil in the world, my bestest pencil, and I remember it breaking and I cried buckets. I was very upset. Now, you know, I'm 54 now. If I broke a pencil, I'd just chuck it in a bin and pick up another one. I'd be like, yeah, and. So we need to understand that things that upset a child wouldn't necessarily upset an adult. So children are much more sensitive, and some children are more sensitive than others. So it doesn't have to be some big trauma. You know, I was abused and I can't remember. I know I was abused, but I can't remember the detail. It doesn't have to be that serious. It doesn't have to be a big car crash. It doesn't have to be, but it can be something for the child that was upsetting. And so what they do is they just block it out. Their mind says, I can't cope with this, so it just goes to one side. So we end up with these chunks missing. And if you want to find out what they are, there's no guarantee, because sometimes the mind just goes, no, we're not going there. And that's okay. And other times the mind is going, do you know what, you need to know about this. Let's bring it forward and then we can put it to bed.
What would, you think children, if the memory was in childhood, is it easier or harder to get them to go back to that?
It doesn't make any...
The missing time I have is as an adult, and as far as I know, I had no trauma or reason to block out anything. It just was gone, you know, like, and not only gone, but I knew when it started or when it ended. More like when it ended, because that's the only reason I knew that time had been gone, because it was at a different time.
Yeah.
But being awake and losing time is a weird thing. So
it is, and yes, that can be sorted in adulthood. There is a reason for that as well. And that's it doesn't have to be that something happens in the moment. And this is the thing, we're very rational beings. We like things to make sense, logical sense. So if I wake up and I feel really, really low and bad and down, the first thing I'll do is look at why. Right? Have I had a bad day? Did I not sleep very well? Have I had a row with my partner? Why am I in such a bad mood? We want a why. You know, think about children, because that's kind of us in our natural state. Why? We're just the same as adults, yeah? And so we need an explanation. So what happens is we can go into a state where there is no explanation in that moment. It doesn't make sense, right? Nothing's gone wrong right now. And this is where I see a lot of people, because I specialize with anxiety and stuff, and they'll go, I've started having panic attacks for absolutely no reason. Absolutely no, they just came out of the blue. And loads of people say this, right? That nothing's happened, everything's fine, and all of a sudden I get up and I've got panic attacks, and I try and explain to them that the thing is with stress, it's a cumulative effect. It builds and it builds, and then something else happens and something else happens, and there can be a 10-year gap and something else happens. There can be a 20-year gap and something else happens, and all of a sudden the body goes bang. And we look at what's happened right now and you go, well, nothing. Well, maybe your body has got so tired of carrying around the 20 heavy shopping bags of stress that you've been carrying around with you for years that it's just gone, boof, can't do it. Yeah, and we're looking for the why, and there's not an explanation. So when I explain to people, right, tell me about the last 5 years. Oh, well, you know, everything's been good for the last 2 years. Before that, I split up with my husband, and 2 years before that, I moved house. And before that, my mother died. Before that, and I'm like, that's why I'm having panic attacks now. Yeah, but I've been fine. Yeah, but it's been sitting there, festering, building, getting more and more toxic, wanting to find a way out until it goes bang, 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 poke, 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 let me out. And it's coming out. Once they understand that,
putting up walls, and they finally have a
yes.
And that what they call it a mental break, basically, because you break down the walls.
Yeah, and people call it a nervous breakdown, a mental breakdown, and the only reason they're calling it that is that the person has imploded, collapsed mentally and emotionally into a heap without any logical reason, because you'd be like that if your partner just died or your child just died, and nobody'd say you're having a nervous breakdown. They'd say you're grieving, right? The difference between a nervous breakdown is that there doesn't seem to be any logical reason for it, and you can't seem to come out of it. But when you work with people and say, look, this is accumulation, you know, our body holds emotions. Emotions are energy. And we have an experience, and out of that experience, energy is generated, and emotion is generated in response to that situation that we just had. And that's the appropriate emotion in the moment. Now, what it's meant to do, and again, go back and look at children 2 or 3 years old, it's meant to come up and come out. Boof. Scream the place down, or cry your eyes out, or punch a pillow, and it's out and it's done. Children don't hold grudges. They don't repress or suppress. They just let it out. We don't. We've been taught not to. And so we push it down and push it down and push it down and push it down. And so it's layer upon layer upon layer. And that's when we get to the point where the body just goes, I can't deal with this. It can be the smallest thing, the smallest straw that broke the camel's back. It can literally be, it was raining today and I needed sun. It literally could be like that, and the mind just goes boof. But as soon as you start...
Yeah. I was wondering, because that kind of ties into what you were saying about, having psychic things. If someone is actually, very gifted and they won't accept it, and these things keep piling on them, like you said, like the stresses for a while, they could have problems in the same way.
Yeah, they do.
It may not even be their trauma that they're dealing with.
Yeah, and I think I went through this, so I understand it, and lots of my clients, have this. So I can remember being aware at 7, being able to see colours and spirits. I used to wet the bed. I used to cry myself to sleep. I was absolutely terrified. I didn't know what I was seeing or why I was seeing it. I shared a bedroom with my older sister. And I've got vague memories of kind of saying, can you see that? And she couldn't. And I was really frightened because I was seeing things that she couldn't see. It was terrifying. And I was terrified all the way through from 7 to about 13. And then I started reading books. And I started trying to educate myself. Why is it I know things that other people don't know? How do I know that you're not going to be in school tomorrow? Because I know you're not going to be in school tomorrow. I don't know how I know or why I know, but I know you're not going to be in school tomorrow. And it's scary. It's really scary. But of course, and the fear plays with our mind. I'm going mad. You're seeing stuff. The more afraid you get, because of the law of attraction, which I totally believe in and I teach, I don't think it's a belief. I think it's a law. I think it's an actuality. It's science. That the more afraid you are, the more you're attracting fearful things to you. So it escalates. It escalates. And this is where you are likely, because you're psychic, you're seeing stuff, to start drawing to you negative spirits, negative energy, and entities and all sorts of nasty stuff. But as soon as you let the fear go and you come into your power, your sense of personality, your sense of dominion, I am God, goddess, all that is. Don't mess with me, mate. I'm not having it. And as soon as you come into that, everything shifts. Everything shifts, And it's lovely.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. I actually had I used to have sleep paralysis.
Oh.
And it really messed with me. And that's really the only time in my life that I could say that I felt genuine fear.
Yeah, well, your heart stops. You stop breathing. Your body will go, we need to breathe. We need oxygen or we're in trouble here.
Yeah. Well, I finally woke up to like a figure or something. I thought it was a human being. At first, when I first opened my eyes, I thought it was a person, a real person. But then when I kind of broke the paralysis and chased it away, I realized it was afraid of me.
Yeah.
Or at least I thought it was. But ever since then, I've never really had sleep paralysis, but maybe once or twice. And
okay.
And also ever since I dropped the fear, like these things like you're talking about when you just know things, you know how something's going to be.
Yeah.
I've learned to just accept that.
Yeah.
And people around me kind of freak out because I'll tell them how something's going to be here in a minute, and it always usually turns out that way.
But you're right, you're spot on. That's exactly what you need to do. Acceptance. You just said, I think I've just accepted it. As if you're talking about, it might rain tomorrow, or the sun might shine tomorrow. Exactly. It's an acceptance. And once we accept, the fear goes. Acceptance is the key. When we're working through the 5 stages of grief, the 5th one, the last one, is acceptance. Once you're in acceptance, you just come to terms with stuff and you lose the fear, you lose the resistance, you're just going with it. And as soon as we go in with it, life gets so much easier, so much easier.
Well, it's kind of like if you were walking down the street and you were hungry and you smelled donuts or something, you're not going to ignore your sense. I mean, it's a sense you have. Sight, something's beautiful to you, you're going to pay attention to it. So I don't know why people shut off their feelings and other senses like that and not trust them like
it's the sixth sense, isn't it?
Senses.
Yeah, it's the sixth sense. Oh, bless you, Kelly. Kelly's just said, did you know Julie is an author? Check out her books in the drop-down list. Oh, sweet. Thank you. Thank you. See, I don't tend to I'm not very good at promotion and self-marketing, and that's lovely to see that. That's nice.
Well, you get your chat room doing it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Your granny had it, I have had it, and so do my 3 girls. There you go. See, one of the reasons people say this is one of these old wives' tales, all right? Sort of fables, right? That it runs in families. Okay, so there we go. My granny had it, and I had it, and my children have had it. It's come down my family. Now, I would say yes, but okay, same in my family. My granny had it, and my aunt had it, and I have it, and so do my brother and sister, actually. But I don't believe that it runs in families. I believe it runs in everybody. And the difference is that when you have a family member who accepts it and encourages you, then because it's there. But, it's like saying, don't allow yourself to like chocolate. Chocolate's really bad. But you've got a family member who loves chocolate who says, yeah, have a bar of chocolate. It's lovely. You'll enjoy it. Then you like chocolate, and then you'll go, see, chocolate runs in my family. It's not about that it runs in the family. It runs in all of us. But in some families, it's shut down. It's discouraged. We don't talk about things. We don't discuss things. We're not open. We're not transparent. And in other families, they're like, oh, did you see that last night? I'm sure that I saw orbs. And you're encouraged, and then it's allowed, and then we're accepting, and then it opens up more. Right. It opens the door.
I've noticed when I don't try to make things sound weird, and I just play it off always as deductive logic and common sense, you don't even get backlash from people.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you actually tell them, no, really, I just felt it, or I saw it, you're going to be looked at like crazy. But if you just use common sense along with it, it can be taken as that to people, because I've noticed if you put it to them a certain way, they won't even question it.
No. But it's also about kind of saying, well, look, hang on. Are we going forwards or are we going backwards? All right? Because if there's only one time, actually, that'll just freak everybody out. So we won't even discuss that. But if we go back even a few hundred years and we look at the Native American Indian shamans who were using herbs as medicine, who were talking to the Great White Spirit, who were honouring the ancestors and seeing, and kind of like the movie with the blue people, Avatar. I love that film. I see you and all that. Brilliant, right? And in this country, we have to go back a bit further because of the Romans, but if we go back 2,000 years, we had all the Celts and all of what's the word I'm looking for? I've just watched Britannia as well. Very good. What were they called? The shamans in our Celtic thing? Because it's just gone out of my head. Somebody give me the word. Because Druids, thank you, Druids. Yeah, we had the Druids. Yeah, and yeah, they were the healers. They were the magic men. They could, make anything happen and magic happen. Thank you, Druids. Thank you. When your mind just goes, I'm not playing. Yeah. Yeah, so, I kind of go, right, this is where we're getting to now, where we're starting to say we're allowed to be druids, we're allowed to be shamans, we're allowed to be witches, we're allowed to use the herbs, and we're allowed to send healing energy, we're allowed to do this, and nobody's going to lock us up and burn us at the stake. Because I don't know about you, but I've been burned at least half a dozen times, because the whole burning of the witches went on for about 450 years, and, I had several lifetimes in that time.
Well, think about the age we live in where science is caught up. So there's a double slot study that they realized that whenever photons are observed by someone, they change their behavior. So when no one's looking at them, they do whatever they do. But if you look at them, they change, which in a sense proves that there is mind over matter. That when you put your thought and your intention out into the reality around you, you can change it.
Yeah.
And just like you said, all times, when you get into physics, all times are the same time. Yeah. Stacked in the same place, or however they explain that.
Yeah.
And we're just witnessing it, whichever layer or portion you're at that time.
Yeah. Lovely. Perfect. I love that. And yes, science helps in ways now that we're beginning to be able to say, well, this quantum physics proves this, and this. And Einstein proved that everything is matter and energy and vibration, and that there is actually no solid form. And so when you're seeing spirit, is there really any difference than seeing a human body or seeing a tree or seeing the air? It's just a vibrational form in either a more condensed version or a more fluid version. And I get that, science has helped with hypnotherapy as well, in that, we've been trying to explain to people, it's the mind that sort of visualization, what you think about, you bring about, what you can focus on and imagine. Your brain doesn't know the difference with, well, not really in terms of the programming, in terms of what is real and what is imagined. So they did some tests, scientific, proper, empirical tests, where they had half a dozen athletes, and they put them in a proper, a scientific room to test this stuff. And they put all of these electrons on their body, right, on their muscles, and wired them up to a computer, and then put a screen in front of them. And it was a video of a race. And they were to imagine that they were running the race. But they weren't to move. They were just to stand on the spot. And then it's like, on your mark, set, go, whatever they do, 3, 2, 1, bang. And every single muscle in the correct orders was firing on the computer, in the arms, in the legs, in the back, everything. And yet they were standing completely still, because their eyes were telling their brain, I'm in that race. I'm imagining I'm in that race. And all the muscles were actually firing and sending messages to the brain. And it was proven that what we imagine, the brain thinks is real. So therefore, this is where positive mental attitude comes in, which is what I teach, and I help people when I'm working with them, that we can't get into a positive mental attitude when our brain has been programmed for negativity and fear, because that's the program. But what we can do under hypnosis is we can imagine, and this is the way I work with people, I imagine that the conscious mind, which is on the top, right? That's our thinking, reasoning, rational, awake ego mind, the mind that's in charge. And downstairs in the basement, I imagine this archive filing cabinet room. And all of those filing cabinets are filled with pieces of paper. And every piece of paper is a different thought and a different belief. And in there is a huge amount of rubbish. Huge amount of rubbish. We have beliefs that...
Copies of copies, too.
Yeah. There's a huge amount that was never true in the first place. There's a huge amount that not even our beliefs, that our parents, there are teachers, there are societies, there are our religions, our churches. Huge amounts of rubbish. And there's a huge amount of negativity. Every insult, every put down, every snipe, every dig that you've ever heard that hurt you has gone in. You know that saying, let it go over your head? Like, whoosh, yeah, whatever. If you can do that, you've literally let it go. You know, and I watch these teenagers, you know, even in Britain, they're very Americanized, yeah, whatever. And they've let it go. And that they literally, it's gone whoosh straight over. But if you hurting, yeah, even if you don't show it, it's gone in. And it's filed. And we've got all of this, and it's in. So first of all, we've got to get rid of all of that. That goes. It's very easy to do. We get rid of all of that. It's a good clear out. Now we've got room and space. Now we can put a new program in with positive mental attitude, positive mental thinking. I'm amazing. I can be anything. I can do anything. I'm fabulous, right? Now, this is where the confidence comes up then. We're not looking... There's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. Right? Arrogance says, I'm better than you. Confidence says, I'm as good as anybody. I'm not better than, I'm as good as anybody. Yeah?
Yes, I can be better.
But I can be better. I want to be the best version of me. And I can be the best version of me. And I deserve, and I am worthy, and I am worth it. That's confidence. And that can be literally reprogrammed. And because once it's gone in there, the brain accepts this as fact. Then your behavior changes. Your behavior is led by your beliefs. So if I believe that I'm useless and rubbish and not safe, then I'm going to hang back, not have a go, and not even try because I think I'm going to fail. All right. So when we change that to go on, give it a go. And if you fail, so what? You've tried. Doesn't matter. Have a go. Have a go. Right. And then we'll go, yeah, I'll give it a go. I don't care if it does, you know. And we start doing things we haven't done before. We start trying things we haven't tried before. When my son said to me at 50, why don't you go to uni and get that degree you always wanted? I just went, ha, ha, ha. You're having a laugh. 50. Don't be ridiculous. I'm not sitting in a classroom with a bunch of 18-year-olds. And he said to me, there's loads of mature students, loads of people, all ages. And anyway, so what? Age is just a number. You can do it. And I was like, oh, perhaps I could. Right? And so I did. And I got my degree. And I wasn't the oldest there. I think there was somebody in their 70s graduating when I was graduating. And
there's no expiration date on learning or accomplishing.
No, there's not. There's not.
You know, you said a really cool thing about the study that you were talking about, how the racers, their muscles fired up. And I think that's an important point because on my channel, I'm always pushing the word empathy. Because empathy not only allows you to feel and understand someone that you like, but also people that don't like you, and you can understand where they're coming from just so you can deal with them. But that was really important what you were talking about the muscles, because if you think about it, that's how empathy works. You're literally putting your mind into a set where the parts of your brain that have the same emotions as that person may be having are firing off in your mind.
Because, I mean, empathy just means being able to put yourself in that person's shoes, being able to understand, being able to empathize with them, being able to feel it, even if you've not done it, being able to imagine it, visualize it. That's what empathy is. Let's just have a look at some of the comments because they might be asking questions that we might want to answer. Champagne C is saying you have to get out of the ego. I agree. I totally agree. You do. Raven Wolf channel, lovely channel by the way. Subscribe. Yeah. Julie, what about people that fool themselves instead of really doing their work, inner work? Oh, that's a good question. I
saw a mental picture of a person. I heard that.
People that fool themselves. So there is a lot of very psychic people, and there is a lot of people who think they're psychic because it gives them a lot of comfort. or it gives them a lot of security. I'm be careful with my words here, because I mean, when I used to do the Mind Body Spirit fairs back about 15 years ago, I stopped doing them because of the small-mindedness and the competition. It drove me insane. You know, that there were people saying, "Oh, this table you've given me is no good. You know, I won't get any clients here." And I'm like, but the people who need to see you will find you. Where is your trust in the universe? You know, this competition. And these are people who are very unhealed. They haven't done the inner work, but it's their journey. So our job is to try not to judge, and try not to judge the judgment, and try not to, you know, get too hard on them, and just say, you know, walk a mile in another man's shoes, another man's moccasins. Until you've done that, you don't know. But yes, we can be aware that there are some people who are less healed than others, and those can cause damage to others and hurt people. And I've seen that quite recently on YouTube. There's a lot of it on YouTube too, because YouTube...
Yes, it's a strange drama universe on YouTube that I didn't know existed until recently.
Yeah.
It's partially amusing, but at the other time it's sad. I try to stay out of it.
I think it's sad, you know, because people get very hurt, and it's really about expectations. So, you know, if you expect, because you're on a channel and you're communicating with them quite a lot, and you now think this is your community, this is your friends, and then all of a sudden there's a falling out and you can't go on that channel anymore, and this happens, that you can feel very abandoned, very lost. I mean, I posted up a video in September when Doreen Virtue announced she was going to the other side. Um, because people were raging. They were absolutely raging. You know, you can't spend 25 years being the spiritual queen and then decide that all of that is evil and against the Bible and go the other way. That's not okay.
Yeah.
And it's fear. It's just fear. So I did this video in September sort of saying, look, okay, look, you know, I'm not even going to go there. I have my own opinions, but I'm not going to share them because it's not appropriate. But it's about, let's let people live and let live, you know, and let's just appreciate what they've done for us so far, and say that if this is ending, it's because it's time to let go and find a different direction. Okay, I believe that we outgrow people. We're growing all the time, and very rarely do you grow on this parallel line. We usually grow like that. Yeah, we grow apart.
Yeah.
We don't grow at different speeds, we grow at different speeds. So if the channel we're on and we're attached to suddenly ends for some reason, either the channel ends or they kick us out or whatever, we fall out with people in the channel, we don't want to go there anymore because they're picking on me, and that happens. And it's just to say, do you know what, this has happened for a reason. This has happened for a reason. It's time for you to let go. Maybe you've become too dependent on the channel and the support. Maybe you've just outgrown them. Maybe it's time for you to find your own way and your own path. Maybe it's that there is a higher vibrational channel out there for you to go and join instead, because I kind of believe that life is a little bit like school. You know, I think you've got the same system in America, don't you? You know, we've got nursery, which is kindergarten, I think you call it. And then we've got infant school and junior school and high school and college and university. They're all different levels. Well, you wouldn't have the same teacher at 5 as you've got at 15. You know, you kind of come up to an age and then you progress, you get promoted, you go up to the next level with a teacher who knows more. And the teachers who teach at high school have to have more qualifications in certain areas than they do for infant school, because infant school is teaching a more broad bit of everything, jack of all trades, master of none, you know. And then you get to high school and you need to be quite specific about a subject. If you're teaching art, you need to have a degree in art. You need to, you know, and then you go up to university and PhD, masters. And it's like, I think it's like that with life too, with our friends and our relationships, that we outgrow people and then we don't want to let go because we don't like change. So then it's about saying, just trust that you create a gap, a space, a void. The universe will fill it with somebody who is aligning with where you are now. So if you've outgrown those people, it's because you're ready for something bigger and better. So,
well, not only that, it's kind of like the Buddhist idea that all suffering is attachment. So the root of all suffering is worried about losing things that are temporary in the first place.
Yeah.
Not just yourself, but people you like, your friends,
yeah.
Certain situations.
Yeah.
everything changes and everything is temporary. So if you are stuck on attachment, then you're going to feel the loss for that. But if you
Absolutely.
realize from the beginning that you need to grow and that things are not permanent in the first place, then you don't have to suffer about the loss of attachment.
You are so wise. I agree with everything you just said. That was wonderful. Listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about. It's very good.
Sometimes.
Sandra D, actually, who's on here at the moment, she's got a channel and she posted up a video this week about change, about inviting change in and how resistant we are to it, how we don't like change. We get stuck in that, I like the way things are. Even if the way things are horrible, I'd rather have that than go into the unknown. We're so resistant to change. She did this. It's only a little 10-minute video. I watched it. I teach change and I learned stuff. So I was like,
she does a good channel too.
yeah, it's a good channel. That was a good little video. You should watch that. That's good. Yeah.
Actually, there's quite a bit of really good channels probably in the chat room. I'm not looking right now, but all the time when I go in there, I was watching you the other day, like I said, and I knew they were all friendly people, and most of the people that were in there are the people that are looking more for a positive way of understanding enlightenment instead of a negative one. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, there is. Absolutely. Sandra's saying thank you. Kelly Page is saying very true, DJ, what you just said, because that was brilliant what you just said. I was very impressed. Renaissance Woman says, I find many people being pretentious on YouTube, like they know how things are, or they are so awake, it's so annoying. Yeah, there is. But, there's a lot of egos out there, and there are a lot of people, we need to try and understand that when somebody really needs to be famous and for everybody to agree with them, it's because they feel very insecure. So what we want to do is just give them lots of love and give them lots of assurance and give them lots of reassurance, and then perhaps they won't need it so much. I when I come on, this is, I think, my fifth interview that I've done. We're chatting, I'm chatting about my opinions. I own them. They're mine. And they're not everybody's, and I'm all right with that. I'm not saying agree with Julie. What I'm saying is the truth. I'm saying it's my truth right now. But this is the thing with change and growth. What I believe is my truth today, I may not believe next year. If I look back over the last 10 years, stuff that I believed 10 years ago, I don't believe now. I'm like, I kind of look back and go, what was I thinking? But...
Yeah, you get a better understanding and more information and all of that other stuff.
Spot on,
or
because...
thought about it in a new way.
What we can say to ourselves is, if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have had those beliefs, but I didn't know then what I know now because I hadn't got to this point yet. So we're always doing the best that we can do in the space that we're at. So when we look at other people behaving what we would judge to be badly, unkindly, cruelly, right? We can either go judge them, get very upset and very angry and go, they have no right to be saying that. They should be closed down. They're upsetting people. Yes, we can do that. Or we can pull back and we can kind of say, everybody's at different paths on their journey, and these people are not as developed as other people, but they're not aware of it. If you say to a 5-year-old, you need to be thinking more laterally, they're going to go, what? They're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. It's like trying to teach a child of 5 who's just in the middle of learning 2 + 2 = 4. I say, right, we're going to talk about calculus now and logarithms. And they're going to go, what? It's beyond their comprehension. Don't even bother going there. Just smile sweetly and just go, okay, I'm going to go to a different channel now. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye. Okay.
I've almost said, you said that more eloquently than I've said it on my channel. So basically, I've said the same thing, You don't have to watch anyone. Yeah. So when you're there and you don't like what they're saying, it's really easy to change the channel. You don't have to complain or leave nasty comments. And just think about whenever you're putting out negativity back on negativity, it's a repel thing. It's only going to increase.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I found that it's easy to get rid of negative people with positivity because they can't stand it. It's almost like sunlight on a vampire.
Yeah. It is, I completely agree. Somebody being nasty to you and you kind of go, I'm so sorry you feel so bad. Do you want a hug? And they just go, right. And they'll stomp off and they'll go. But you start confronting them. Why are you being so horrible to me? You shouldn't be doing that. Then you're escalating because
Yeah, you just feed the monster.
You're feeding the fear. You're feeding the fire. And what happens when we feed the fire? It just gets bigger, you know. So
That's true.
step away from the fire, smile sweetly, and go in a different direction. Life's too short to get into all of that drama and blame and shame and naming and all this. No, no.
You know, it's almost sad that I mean, you don't want to tell a kid how short life is, but at the same time, I kind of feel robbed that when I was a child, nobody told me that. No, when you get, when you start passing mid 30s, you're going to start realizing time just is accelerating faster and faster. No one told me that. I might have taken my first half of my life a little more seriously.
How do you think I feel? I'm going to be 55 this year and I'm freaking. I'm like, oh my God, I'm 5 years away from 60. I cannot believe that. Jesus.
But then again, I do enjoy being able to understand things better, and I don't think I would actually, if you gave me the choice, go back then, because I wouldn't want to be as naive and lose whatever.
Oh no, I'd only go back on one condition. I'd go back knowing now. What I know now, take it back with me. Otherwise, no, you can keep it. Absolutely keep it. Yeah, although I was quite happy with the body I had around 32, 33 and the looks, the physical looks. But yeah, no, drama, chaos, reactions. Oh, no, no, thank you. I like my life as boring as possible. After 30, nearly 40 years of chaos and drama, I've had 14 years of stability. And it's lovely. It's bliss. It's wonderful. I don't want drama. Thank you very much.
Right. I actually put that out there, that message that there's no drama for 2018. I feel like this is a really positive year if you make it that way.
It is. It's a year of, it's a master number, it's 11. And mastery is all about coming into our free dominion, our sense of who we are, our to be able to stand up for ourselves and to be able to say, do you know what, that's not okay. If I'm in the wrong job, the wrong marriage, the wrong house, the wrong location, it's only me who can change it, and I'm doing something about it because I'm not prepared to live like this anymore, because I deserve more and I deserve better, because I'm a master. And every single individual person is going to have that kind of transition at some point this year of saying, I want more. And we don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater, which is to get rid of it all. If your marriage or your relationship or your job or your home isn't working for you, then you improve it. You turn it around. You put loads of positivity into it, loads of love into it, and you try and turn it around and make it better. And if you can't make it better, you go. And you have the confidence and drive to say, I'm off. I'm having something better. And
and you've learned all the mistakes you've already. You can leave the negativity behind and take the positive lessons you got. I wanted to ask you, how much weight do you put on the mastery number? See, I realized that there's a weird thing with my birth date. 11's always been my number, one of my favorite numbers. I was born on 11/30 of 77, so 77 is more. But when you add up my date of birth and the year, it comes out to 2018, which is now. So it's exactly the numbers, and then of course they tell me my life path is an 11/2 or whatever that is.
Right, you're an 11. You're a master.
11 is so mingled with the number. It's weird that 2018 literally is my numbers added up together.
This is your year to shine. You're going to shine this year. It's wonderful. But yeah, I'm not a numerologist. I know a little bit about numerology, a little bit about astrology, a little bit about crystals, all of that. I've studied in my nearly 40 years a lot of different aspects of New Age, spiritual consciousness and everything else. And I would say, jack of all trades, master of one, which is hypnotherapy. That is, I'm a master in. And I think I'm not far off being a master in terms of the teaching and the law of attraction and psychicness. But I'm certainly not in terms of crystals and numerology and astrology and rods and all the rest of it. A little bit, I taught for years. But if I didn't know enough, I'd bring an expert in and say, I can teach you the basics. Now this woman's going to teach you everything else. You need to know your limitations. But yeah, it's numerology. My understanding of numerology, I believe in it. I think astrology and numerology, they all line up. They're all saying the same things in different ways. They're kind of all the different cars and buses going up the hill, but they're all going the same way home. They're just taking different routes, and it's like, which route do you align with? Which vibration feels right for you? And they all feel right to me on a certain level, So For me, I'm a number one, ruling number one, which is an independent, self-employed teacher, thinker. But I have 4 9s in my chart, which is huge. So my chart is very imbalanced, actually, because it's you know, I'm either in charge or I'm healing the world, you know, and it's kind of, that's what I do, and it's exactly who I am, so it fits incredibly. You know, my birthday's the 9th of the 9th, 63, which is another 9, and we've got 3 9s, they come together, it's 27, there's another 9, and then you can put the 4 9s together, you've got 36, you've got another 9. So I've just got 9s all the way through me, and 9s are the healers of the planet who want to serve and support and help and inspire and lift and change the world. But at the same time, the 1 says I've got my head screwed on. I'm a Virgo, so I'm very grounded, and I'm a perfectionist, which is why I was freaking out that this wasn't working properly, and I had to kind of go, let go, let God.
Those numbers, they always pop up to me. The 9s and the 11s.
Yeah.
I think that's because they make 20. That's why.
So we've had a good old chat tonight, haven't we? Let's have a look at some of the comments. So Raven Wolf, the most hurtful thing is being blindsided and caught completely off guard. Yeah, that's going back to our conversation about, you know, some people being nasty. It can be a bit of a shock, and it's because we're not expecting it. Expectation is the key, because here's expectation and here's the reality. This gap in the middle is called disappointment and shock. All right. So if we can lower the expectation down to here, and this isn't about lowering ourselves, we're just going with the flow more. So what happens, you kind of go, yeah, whatever, rather than what the hell just happened. Okay, so try and lower those expectations. Let's understand that YouTube has got, I have no idea, 6 million, 10 million, 6 billion people having channels.
Right.
There's going to be some nasty people out there. You know, I had my first troll about a month ago, 3 weeks ago. I was quite shocked. And I was like, oh, I wasn't expectation. I wasn't expecting it. Because when I'm doing live readings, and I'm giving so much energy and time free in a very loving way, it just threw me completely. It was such a curveball. I kind of went, bang, what the hell was that? And I had to kind of regroup. And I realised, and several people said to me, you are not, what is it? You can't be famous till you've had your first hate mail and death threats and trolls. And I'm like, I don't want to be famous. I just want to help people. But it's like, well, you know.
Trolls are just insecure people looking for healing. And
yeah.
They don't want to just come out and ask for it. So they lash out at people.
Yeah, but it's weird.
It's putting off a positive message.
Because since then, I brought my expectation down, because my expectation was everybody knows that I'm doing this from a very genuine and loving way. Everybody knows that. That's an expectation. It's false expectation, because I got accused of, you're only in this for the money, you don't care about anything, you're not real, you're not genuine, you're a fake. And I was like, well, you don't know me then. And I was like, why are you even responding to this? Because I wasn't expecting it. Ever since then, I kind of have brought the expectations down and go, well, troll smalls, so what, you know? And funnily enough, I haven't had any since. So it's expectations. So let's just allow that there are some unpleasant people out there on YouTube. They won't think they are. You know, it's a bit like driving. Have you ever met anybody who admits to being a bad driver? Because I haven't. Everybody thinks that they're a perfect driver, and yet if you ask people, oh, it's the others, the drivers on the road, they're terrible. Well, somebody has to be the bad driver, but it's, you know, it's just never me. No, it's not me. Yeah, and it's like that.
If you see someone else driving badly and you see it on a number of occasions, then after a while it's a pattern, and you can assume the same behavior from that driver.
Yeah, but if you were to then say to that driver and confront them, you're driving dangerously and you're driving really badly, they would immediately turn it back on you and say, there's nothing wrong with their driving, you cut them up. No, you didn't indicate, you didn't tell me. They won't take responsibility because they can't see it. And that's not anything you can change. So we just go, yep, whatever. We're not going to argue about it.
I noticed there is a lot of, I guess what do you call that, projection or deflection or whatever it is, where people put off their own flaws on the people around them.
Yes,
instead.
projection, yeah. And it's the mirror as well. So the more you don't react, the more it's not a mirror to you. You see it in somebody else and you're not reacting. It's when you react that you can kind of go, okay, let's take that reaction. That's my body's way of showing me there's something in here I need to sort out. For me, not for them. It's the person who's triggered it in me. Yeah. So
This old man taught me a saying a long time ago. It's kind of relevant, and he used to say it every morning. I finally asked him what it meant. He would say, "Yo feo también," when he looked in the mirror in the morning. So he told me, well, I do that every morning to remind myself that I'm just a human.
yeah.
So basically it means, yes, I'm ugly too. When he gets up and looks in the mirror, he's talking
Oh,
to himself.
no, I don't
And
agree with that.
Well, he's not saying like, it's just a kind of a funny joke. He's not really saying he's ugly, but the point of it is to recognize yourself in the mirror there.
Yeah.
That is you, and take responsibility for that is you.
Yeah. I like to kind of think I'm being the best version of me that I can be in this moment in time, and that other person is being the best version of them. And if that isn't where I think it should be, well, who the hell am I to judge? And that's, we were given free will for a reason. So let's allow people to be who they are, with their warts and all, with their reactions and all, with their insecurities and all, and live and let live, and not get caught up into what we judge as being unacceptable behavior. I mean, as a therapist, I see a lot of unacceptable behavior, but you start calling people out on it, you're in for a fight, because they're not going to see it. You've got to help them. As a therapist, they've come to me to help them to see it, and I will try and help them see it. But people on Facebook and YouTube who behaviours badly, I just walk the other way. I'm out of here, ta-da. I'm not liking what's going on here. I'm not getting involved. And that's the way it should be. Sandra's saying it's about self-responsibility. It is, I agree. Thank you very much, Raven Wolf. I love you too. Okay, April's saying being grocery shopping, tending to a sick child. I'm in and out. That's all right, April. Don't worry. Sandra's saying the master will appear when the student is ready. I agree. I love that saying. Sandra's saying people project because the reflection is either unnoticed or rejected. I agree too. What else have we got here? Rainbow White, the Phoenix rises. Get rid of the headphones, DJ. I think this will better your audio, bro. He hasn't got any headphones on. What are you talking about?
Well, I do. I got headphones on so that they don't hear an echo in the recording.
Oh, right. Oh, I didn't notice. Niz is saying it's easy to trick people when they're accusing others of doing it. It's like a distraction too. Yeah, just step back, Niz. Just step back. Don't get involved, babe. Don't get involved. And Rainbow White, the Phoenix Rises, is saying, since when DJ's audio sucks? So they can hear you fine. So some people, we haven't had anybody saying they can't hear for ages. So all is good. Okay. And I think have I picked up all the comments then? Leanne is saying no caffeine. I stopped drinking it. Because of the moon energy. Yeah. Okay, I think that's about it. So we did say it was going to be an hour, but
familiar people in the audience there. So thanks for watching.
And thank you for joining us, and thank you for having me, Ransom. It's been a pleasure. I love the way you think. I love the way your mind is, and you want me back? I'll be back. That was great.
Yeah, that'd be a great thing. And I'm friends with like when I saw you on the Niz's channel too. We're all kind of friends. Like I think we actually are real about having a real community of positive people.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you're going to get somebody in there that doesn't fit in or wants to be negative, but you don't have to change your attitude or behavior because of someone else.
You don't, and you don't have to discuss it either. I mean, I was on the Leap project, which was a wonderful experience, but they do love their aliens and scary stuff. And Rex, I thought was brilliant. I love Rex, but he tried to draw me into the fear side, and I just went, "Those are not my beliefs, so we're not discussing it." I just shut it down.
I think Rex likes it more of an entertainment. Like fear to him is kind of an entertainment, just to know what scary is.
It brings people to the channel. He's a wonderful interviewer, but I loved the way that he didn't push it. He just smiled and changed the subject, which was great. Right. Because not everybody does that, yes. So but it's been a pleasure. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I will log off tomorrow night. I'm on with who am I on with tomorrow? I'm on with Raven Wolf channel at 7:00 talking about crystals.
Cool.
which is going to be interesting because I am so not a crystal expert, but I'll tell you what I know. That's the best I can do. All right.
I did a show with her. We talked about crystals, and she has a big old science book, and she wouldn't share what was in it. So maybe you can get her to bust out, because she knows a lot about them. She just won't share.
Oh, right. Okay. Good to know. Thanks for the heads up.
All right.
All right, guys. Have a good time. Ta-da.